While most of us in Florida were getting ready for Hurricane Helene to make landfall yesterday, the Biden-Harris administration was busy issuing an executive order to address gun violence, which of course means gun control for the law-abiding citizen. So let's take a couple minutes today and let's look over this executive order. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Firearm Firm channel. I'm attorney James Phillips, a former prosecutor and founding partner of Katz & Phillips PA, also known as the Firearm Firm. Before we dive into the latest infringement by the Biden-Harris administration, we want to make sure to let everyone who was affected by Hurricane Helene know that they are in our thoughts and prayers. So let's take a look at this executive order, which on its face might not look that bad. But I truly believe this order is just laying the groundwork for much worse restrictions on your right to bear arms in the very near future. One issue addressed in the executive order concerns machine gun conversion devices. According to the executive order, these conversion devices increase the rate of fire of a semi-automatic firearm to mimic the rate of fire of a machine gun. One such machine gun conversion device that has gotten recent attention in the media is Glock switches. Earlier this month, federal authorities seized over 350 website domains allegedly used for illegal importation of these type switches and also suppressors. According to the executive order, ATF recovered 5,454 of these type devices between 2017 and 2021, a 570% increase over the previous 5-year period. Now, I'm not sure how this will do anything, considering, as mentioned in the executive order itself, machine gun conversion devices are illegal to possess under federal law. Does the Biden administration actually think that criminals who don't follow the federal law will all of a sudden look at this executive order and say, you know what, I better not get one? Next, the executive order touches on unserialized 3D printed firearms, which according to the order can be used for illegal purposes. Now, I don't disagree that they can be used for illegal purposes, but I want to see a statistic showing how often 3D printed firearms are used in crimes. I do know, however, that it's not uncommon for firearms with obliterated serial numbers to be used in crimes, but I don't know how often firearms that never even possessed a serial number are used. From my experience, most firearms used in crimes are stolen firearms. I personally find it hard to believe that the street level thug who are committing these crimes are taking the time to learn how to and make an actual 3D printed guns. I just don't see it, considering how easy it is for them to obtain a stolen gun by breaking into cars at night. Again, this is the left trying to pave the way to outlaw individuals from manufacturing their own firearms without having the government know about it when they apply for a serial number. Pursuant to the executive order, Biden is going to establish an emerging firearms threat task force, and they are to issue a report within 90 days, which is to include an assessment of the threat posed by machine gun conversion devices and unserialized 3D printed firearms, an assessment of federal agencies' operational and legal capacities to detect, intercept, and seize machine gun conversion devices and unserialized 3D printed firearms, and an interagency plan for combating these emerging threats. The report will include any additional authorities or funding the federal agencies need from Congress in order to complete this work. Well, the last sentence sure does sound like a great way for ATF and other agencies to get more funding to infringe on your Second Amendment rights. Next, the executive order addresses improving school-based active shooter drills. According to the executive order, parents, educators, and children are being traumatized by active shooter drills. Now, I'm not sure how the active shooter drills are any more traumatizing than fire drills or bad weather drills, but then again, I'm not a psychologist. Of course, the media who loves to report on school shootings never talk about fires or hurricanes affecting schools, so I think they probably play a major role in creating any kind of trauma to parents, teachers, and children. In the executive order, President Biden is directing the Secretary of Education and the Secretary of Homeland Security, in coordination with the Attorney General, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and the U.S. Surgeon General, to develop and publish within 110 days information for K-12 schools and institutions of higher education regarding school-based active shooter drills. The information will include a summary of existing research on active shooter drills and resources for school districts and institutions of higher education on how to create, implement, and evaluate evidence-informed active shooter drills, how to conduct an effective and age and developmentally appropriate drill, how to best communicate with students, families, and educators about these drills, how to prevent students and educators from experiencing trauma or psychological distress associated with these type drills, and how best to serve people with disabilities and those with language-related needs, including by ensuring compliance with federal civil rights law when designing and implementing school-based active shooter drills. Now, this does not seem like a bad or unreasonable thing to do, and I'm all for research and putting together protocol. But unfortunately, with this administration, I'm just skeptical about their underlying motive. I know that it's sad that I feel that way, but I can't help it. I'm afraid of, instead of getting unbiased individuals to conduct and put together these kinds of studies, the Biden-Harris administration is going to select individuals who are already anti-gun to conduct studies and to formulate the procedures, and of course, the left will later use any information they obtained to implement more gun control. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it. The order goes on to read, in addition to the executive order, federal department and agencies are taking the following actions. Encouraging safe storage of firearms. Today, the Department of Education is providing schools, school boards, and policymakers with a new tool to promote safe gun storage in their communities. Following up on the initial safe storage actions, the Department of Education is publishing an interactive website that highlights examples of state, community, and school district actions across the nation that promote safe gun storage within school communities. This is how down the road they will try and enact mandatory safe storage law for anyone who owns a firearm. I also don't like the idea of anti-gunners going into the school and providing our children with anti-gun propaganda. As mentioned before, this is laying the groundwork for future gun control by indoctrinating our children that guns are bad. Next, it goes on to say implementing state red flag laws. I hate red flag laws. The Department of Justice is announcing over $135 million in formula awards to 48 states under the Bryan State Crisis Intervention Program, which provides funding for the implementation of extreme risk protection orders or red flag programs, state crisis intervention court proceedings, and related programs/initiatives. The implementation of state red flag law is supported by the National Extreme Risk Protection Resource Center. In Florida, we already have red flag laws, which in my opinion have been a complete disaster. I have personally seen way too many times red flag laws used as a sword to take away someone's gun rights instead of as a shield to protect society. Also, don't forget about the whole due process violation of having a hearing without the person subject to the red flag law knowing about it. As expected, the order hits on improving background checks. According to the order, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act established enhanced background checks for individuals under the age of 21 trying to purchase a firearm. These enhanced checks have already stopped over 900 transactions, keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals. How do we know that these 900 individuals who attempted transactions were dangerous individuals? I want to know why they just assumed that. How do we know that these individuals were not trying to purchase a gun for safety concerns or for hunting? I just would like a little bit more information about that. This seems a little suspect to me. The last part of the order I want to go over is a call to action to Congress and reads, while the Biden-Harris administration's gun violence prevention actions are saving lives, there's much more to do. President Biden and Vice President Harris continue to call on Congress to enact common sense gun safety legislation, from a ban on assault weapons and bump stocks to universal background checks to repeal of gun manufacturers' immunity from liability, and to enact federal safe storage and red flag laws and fully fund community violence intervention programs and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. That last call to action tells you exactly what they want. They want mandatory background checks. They want safe storage laws. They want to make sure that they can take someone's right to possess a firearm or ammunition away from people without a hearing. This executive order is telling us what they plan to do in the future. That is why this November it is extremely important to get out there and vote. I can't say it enough. We need to look at the underlying reasons for this executive order. The left is laying the foundation for future gun control, plain and simple. On its face, this executive order may not seem that bad to a lot of you, but keep in mind it's election year, so I think they tried to be very strategic in their wording. What do you think? Do you agree with me or disagree? Be sure to let us know what you think down below in the comments section, where you can also leave any questions you have about this video or any other Second Amendment related question. Until next time, stay armed and educated.